The Clubs is with internationally acclaimed Australian painter Johnny Romeo.
My work's a combination. It's pop. It's a combination of urban street culture, street art.
Now you have described your work, or what your work is concerned with, is the decline of the individual and the rise of the mass media. How do you feel about yourself kind of entering that pop culture arena?
I just feel myself as being almost like a medium, just someone that actually holds the mirrors of society back to society, It's very hard to explain to people, but, my process is, I sit in coffee shops and I'm sketching in pads and I write poetry and I write words and, it's beat poetry and it's stream of consciousness stuff, and a bus goes by and I'll sketch something that I see that goes by, and I'll open a magazine and capture a title, and a lot of this stuff then becomes part of my journal, and then eventually that finds itself onto my canvas, And so I'm very much a part of that mirror, and I just think it's an important role to have, I suppose, to be able to hold the mirror up to society and reflect pop culture back,
Can you talk to me about your text as well? So the way you rework, you write something up, you go into it, you kind of scratch it out. Can you talk to me a bit about that as well?
It's part of being a poet, like being a beat poet. So you've got Whiskey Bar. And you've heard Jim Morrison talk about, Whiskey Bar,
Yeah.
But Whiskey A Go-Go is the famous place on Sunset where the Doors performed, And so this is a cool image that lent itself really nicely. The whole idea of the Go-Go fits really nicely in this particular work, particularly in the bones, the poison bones, And it was interesting because in the end, Jim died of blood poisoning, because of alcohol,
Absolutely.
66 is when he played at Whiskey A Go-Go, and that's the year the Doors actually, were house band at Whiskey A Go-Go, which is a really cool place if you get a chance to go.
Was there anything in particular that you had to overcome during your career as well?
Yeah, I mean, like every artist, you start off and you have solo show after solo show, group show after group show, and I must admit, I must have had 300 shows where no one turned up, and then all of a sudden you become in vogue, the flavour of the month, and everyone starts to write about you, and then from no one attending the shows, you might get a few people turn up, and eventually it just becomes the popular place to be,
Now, who's inspiring you at the moment? Like contemporary artists or musicians or other contemporary poets as well? Anyone in particular that you're really getting inspired by?
At the moment, or just in general? At the moment, I'm really into the 70s punk scene, Some of the stuff that, Blondie did, and a lot of the Ramones stuff of that period, and there's a lot of others, I reckon that's a really cool show somewhere down the track,
I love looking at the different art forms that kind of each of them as well, and especially like that kind of
I didn't think that actually works, to be honest with you.
Okay, yeah. For each of them, or just this one?
Just the particular.
Okay. Is that representing like the tattoo art?
Yeah,
Or is that, yeah.
So a lot of that was kind of like playing on the idea of Elton John's song, what is it, the candle in the wind, but the rose, and all that. So I brought that in, the whole idea of a tribute to Marilyn Monroe, and tattoo art, about tributes, and a lot of that kind of stuff that goes on with banners on the arms and all that. So I brought that in. I never thought it kind of worked, but then when I stood back from the work, I really liked it.
Talking about collaborations and musicians, can you tell me a little bit more about Blink-182?
Yeah, well, everyone knows Blink. Blink, they knew my work from LA. They had an Australian tour in February, and what they usually do for their world tours, they get an artist from that country to paint their bunny and they approached me and said, look, Johnny, we think it's really cool if you paint our bunny, and we'll do a cross promotion where we'll give it away, and it'll be VIP tickets, and we actually want you to do the bunny for the Australian tour. And I sort of said, yeah, well, that's really, really cool. And that went crazy, that went worldwide. I had people, from all over the world contacting me about purchasing the bunny, or where can they buy the bunny, and where can they get tickets. It went really viral.
Okay, tell us about, do you already have or know what you're going to do for your next series? Is that already on your mind?
Yeah, I open in Los Angeles on the 28th of September, and that's Works on Paper. But my next Australian show is going to be a very interesting show, in the sense that it looks at, what if Andy Warhol was actually killed in the attempted assassination at the factory by Valerie Solano, and what would have happened if Valerie had actually killed Andy, and what would have happened to pop culture, and what would have happened to pop art. And the show's going to be popism. Johnny Romeo paints Andy Warhol. So I've got Andy also opening the show as well. There'll be an Andy impersonator that will be opening the show. It's a Queensland show, so it's going to be really crazy.
So that's November, did you say? Oh, how exciting. Well, hopefully we can get up there, because that would be really, really fantastic to see. So we've got a little bit of a present for you, so let me just quickly grab it. To work with the kind of kitsch mass media kind of theme, I've got you just this. Do you want to open it up?
Oh, how cool. So it's got my work on it. And, oh, wow. It's my work, and yeah. They're really great. What are they? They're like a pin.
Yeah, so they're just little Scrabble pendants, and I know downstairs you've got a work, and I know how Picasso is one of your icons. So I've got the bathers there.
1918 bathers, which is a very, very important work in my life, and there's my work, which is the homage to Picasso, and there's also a Johnny Romeo badge as well of my self-portrait. Wow, that looks amazing.
I think every artist should have a badge of their own. I mean, that's just the ultimate of it all. So yeah, thank you so much for talking to the clubs.
Thank you, V, and thank you for your time, and hopefully see you around.
Yeah, see you around.